Hey guys, I'm Mike from MetaComix, and you are about to watch a review of Batman Eternal number 10. But before I get into that, I want to just kind of give everybody an update of what kind of content will be on the channel. You're going to be seeing a bunch of these reviews, from time to time some news stories and some topic videos, that kind of thing. And I'm going to try to do a couple different videos a week. I'm not sure how many I'll actually be able to pop out there, but I'm going to try to do 3 to 4. Maybe more if I get time, since if they're shorter reviews and whatnot. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get right into the review. So again, this is Batman Eternal number 10. And I want to say that even though I'm not a huge DC fan, I'm a huge fan of Scott Snyder and his work on the Batman books. I think that he has done a spectacular job, especially with the Year Zero series that's been coming through the main Batman book. I think it's fantastic, and I have loved a lot of the work he's done on the Batman Eternal book that's been coming out too. That being said, this particular issue was a little bit of a disappointment. But before we get into all that, let's just kind of talk about the story for a minute. The story basically centers around Batman and Catwoman and their eventual team up against whoever the big bad guy is that's been ordering Falcone and Commissioner Forbes and everybody around to try to take out Batman. This issue kicks off with Falcone having captured Catwoman, and he's got her all tied up, and he keeps going on and on and on about how Gotham needs a new protector, it needs a new savior kind of deal, one that isn't an animal, like Batman or Catwoman or something like that. And so he kind of spills his guts about his plan, typical bad guy, spills his guts kind of thing. So he goes through that little spiel. Catwoman tries to defend Batman, saying, hey, Gotham's already got a protector. She gets the crap slapped out of her. And then we move on to see that Professor Pig is headed toward Falcone and has very dastardly plans for him. Professor Pig eventually gets into Falcone's headquarters, his tower or whatever, wreaking havoc along the way with his... I don't remember if they're farm animals or farm hands or whatever he calls them. They get a hold of Falcone, and Mr. Pig, Professor Pig, has a plan to basically turn Falcone into a man-bird hybrid falcon. Okay, and along comes Batman. He saves the day because he hears that Catwoman is, there with Professor Pig and Falcone, and he could give a crap less about Falcone, but he, wants to rescue Catwoman, which he does, and Catwoman then goes ahead and tells him about Falcone's plans and that Falcone was taking orders from someone a little higher up the food chain. So Falcone's not the main enemy, someone else is calling the shots. So that's the story in a gist. I left some stuff out about Julia Pennyworth, Alfred's daughter, who Batman rescued after she got skewered like a shish kebab in the last issue, and her dynamic and interaction as she's healing at Wayne Manor with her dad. That was an interesting part of the story, and they also continue the Stephanie Brown deal, but that wasn't the main part of the story. So that's the gist of the issue. I gotta look at my notes. What I really liked was the idea of Batman and Catwoman teaming up. I really like that dynamic. I like how Catwoman defended him, how even though she's a thief and kind of plays fast and loose with the law and the rules, and she kind of plays both sides from time to time, that conflict that's inside of her, she respects Batman. She respects what he stands for, who he is. And so I really like that. I think that adds depth to her character, and it makes their interactions much more interesting. I also loved the Julia Pennyworth storyline. It's obvious from their brief interaction in this issue that they don't see eye to eye, that they don't really know each other very well, they're not very well connected, and it's obvious that Alfred does care for her, and that dynamic is going to be interesting to see explored because Alfred has raised a child. He raised Bruce as his own, but now here's this person who is his blood child, but they don't have the same connection that even he and Bruce have. So that's going to be interesting to see how they flesh that out. I also really liked how Bruce encouraged Alfred, both aside and in front of his daughter. I thought that showed like serious like growth and maturity in Bruce, that he's a good dude deep down, even despite all the pain and agony that he's been throughout his life. He knows good and right from wrong, and even though sometimes it seems like he's a very dark guy, he still he deeply cares about the people that he loves and that he considers family. Now let's talk about the things that I didn't like. One of the things I didn't like was the art for the book. And I believe the art was done by Riccardo Bercelli. Not a fan of this particular kind of art style. It's a little muddied and it looks outdated and old. It looks like it's trying too hard to be like abstract and cool, and it fails really. Some of the facial expressions and things don't seem appropriate for the context of the situation that the character is in. So I don't know. That kind of detracted from my enjoyment of the issue, and that's kind of been a consistent problem, I think, with the Batman Eternal book, has been the quality of the art. I really didn't like Professor Pig. I hate this guy. This is my least favorite Batman villain of all time. I just can't stand the guy. All right? If there was one villain I could just get rid of, that would be the guy. He's annoying and cheesy. The dialogue, put me back on my hooves, and all this weird crap. I don't like it at all. So that kind of detracted from it, and he didn't really serve any purpose in this issue other than to be somebody for Batman to slap around. That was really it. That was his only purpose. So he didn't really move the story forward any. Didn't really add any value to the narrative. So I didn't care much for that. I would just love it if they would actually kill him off for good and never use him again. It'll never happen, but I can hope and dream. The whole idea of Falcone, trying to be the city savior, the mobster trying to save the city thing, it's just a little overdone, I think. The whole bad guy, my way will save the city. I can be what the city needs, and kind of thing. It's been done in superhero stuff for a long time. Lex Luthor pretty much, perfected it. And it's a little overdone. And I'm hoping that the direction they're taking the book, expanding beyond Falcone, that he's not the one calling the shots, that might add an interesting take to it and kind of freshen it up a bit. Overall, it was a pretty decent issue. It was entertaining. It lacked a little bit in action, but it made up for that in some of the depth of the storyline between Julia and Alfred, and the conversation that Catwoman had with Batman and coming to his defense and things. So overall, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. Definitely a little bit lower end on this issue than issue 9, which for me was a fantastic issue. So yeah, that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the review. Let me know down below what you thought of the issue. Did you like it? Do you like that art style, Bercelli's art style? You like Scott Snyder on this book, or do you prefer his work on just the regular Batman series? All right, guys, be sure to subscribe. Keep coming back. Catch you on the flip side.